Hey, everybody, welcome back. I have someone special for you to hear from today, and I'm going to let him just introduce himself right off the bat. And you got to tell us how old you are.
Okay. My name's Ricardo Vargas. Just turned 21 years old like last month. And I own Augusta Lawn Care of Alexandria in Virginia.
Excellent. And can you tell us how this all began, this journey for you? How long ago?
So, I guess like origin story would be, I used to work for my father-in-law for his landscape company. He asked for some help, more on the admin side, like estimates and stuff. So I came in pretty green. I didn't really know what to do, so I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos. That's how I learned about Mike and stuff, and then Augusta, and then just followed his plan, helped him out, and then his business became pretty profitable at like 6 months, maybe 6 to 7 months after. And then I figured that I could actually do this myself because it
Hmm.
didn't seem that hard. Obviously,
Yes.
I didn't really have a lot of experience in the field, but
Hmm.
I had a lot of experience. I had a lot of experience with the numbers and stuff, and that's what I liked. I saw like all this money coming in, like all these interactions and stuff, and I thought it was like the whole systems part. It was pretty cool.
Hmm.
So I um so I started like 2 weeks after I left, pretty much. I
No way.
managed, yeah, I managed to scrap together like $15,000 out of like thin air. And yeah, I mean, it was just grind from there up to up to last year. If you fast forward 2 years, it was brutal 2 years,
Yes.
not to say the least, but it was brutal. Um, and going into what 2020, yeah, so going into 2024, first year we did 150K.
Excellent.
Uh, so that was cool. And then going into 2024, we had we had snow contracts because like it doesn't really snow a lot here, but when it does a lot.
Mm.
So we might get like one or two events with like a lot of inches.
Hmm.
So we had two snowfalls that season, and like 7 to 8 inches each. So we had contracts in place for a commercial property that we were taking care of, and so we did like 40ish k on January from the snow, so that was pretty cool.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, and it
That's
felt great.
motivating.
Oh yeah, it felt really cool. And then with all that money, I basically put that money into a mowing truck.
Okay.
With the ramp rack, decals, pretty much like upgrading the brand to get it to a more professional standard. And um, as that was going on, uh, fast forward a little bit into March, we those contracts that we had for like pretty much the whole year got canceled, and
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, and so obviously I over leveraged a lot into my own into those commercial contracts. It wasn't all the revenue, which is good. It was
Mhm.
a good 40ish, 50ish percentage. So like it hurt a lot,
Yeah, no
but
kidding.
we were still afloat. But I needed to like solve this problem fast, and so
Mhm.
at that point, Mike had started with the turnaround videos, and so I was like, there's nothing to lose here.
Yeah.
I really don't care. So like
Yes.
I'll much rather get some personal advice, right?
Mhm.
And so signed up. Eventually, they came around, and I mean, it was pretty cool. Meeting Mike in person, and then like sitting down and getting advice and seeing how he thinks firsthand and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Mhm.
So after he left, I followed his advice, and in like 4 or 5 months, we were back on track. Probably like 4 months,
Fantastic.
back on track. And so I was like, oh well, I'm using lawn care web design. I'm using Copilot. I'm using this. I'm using that. Literally, the trucks are copy and paste from the
Mhm.
Augusta models with the ramp rack. So I was like, let's talk to Lee. Let's see what happens, right? And so talk to Lee. This was in June ish, and then made a decision in July. Went to July training, and then converted over to Augusta. And then yeah,
Fantastic,
fast forward,
fantastic.
here we are.
So we got to unpack this a little bit. When you were working for your father-in-law, did you
Hmm.
get him to implement any of the things you had been watching online from Mike?
Yeah, so he was not a fan of open book management. And I mean,
Okay, I'm sure
understandable.
that's a little
Yeah.
bit hard.
Yeah, understandable. It's usually hard, especially like in the culture, the landscaping culture around here is just not that is not that at all. So it's more like old school.
Mhm,
They should never see the numbers. They can't see how much we're making, stuff like that. So like it's
mhm.
hard to change that. But he really did like P4P, and you try to institute it, and it worked. It worked. So that's great.
And how did he take that when you decided to leave and start your own business?
I mean, he was happy. He was happy. He was like, "Yeah, I know you can do it. You can definitely get it done. If you ever need help, just let me know."
So you had been listening to Mike for quite a while
Hmm.
and implementing these things in your own business. And when you started out, what kind of equipment did you have? Did you have anything, or were you starting with
No,
snow just from the get?
no, no. So when I started with my own, I started in March, no, in like April of 22.
Okay.
So right in the middle of spring rush,
Oh
I
my
got
goodness.
I got a Honda mower from Home Depot for like $600.
Yep.
A
That's great.
21-inch. I got a $10,000 F-150
Mhm.
2011. Didn't even know how to drive a truck, but I figured it out. And I don't know, I just hold that stuff. Would just pick up the mower and then put it on the bed and then pick it up, put it back down every single time. And
Incredible.
I remember going to my first property. My first property was huge, like ever, right? The first
Mm.
property that I would ever mow. I would sit there and I was like, how do I make these stripes work?
Oh
Like
my
how am I
goodness.
supposed to lay down stripes? How do people do that? So I like sat there like on YouTube for like 10, 20 minutes. Like how do you stripe a log? I don't
This is
understand.
great.
So then like I learned everything right there in like 20-ish minutes. Like how do you edge? How do you blow? Like all this and all that. Like what the heck am I supposed to do with the clippings and stuff? So
So you
it
went
was
to YouTube University right off the bat sitting in your truck.
yeah, pretty much for 20, 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm kind of lucky that the homeowner was not home or
No
else he probably would have
kidding.
stepped out.
So what did you think when you went to these jobs to do estimates? How do you think they reacted to you being so young, and did they know you were inexperienced?
So from the start, I made sure that it was clear that well, I made sure that the customer didn't know that I was the owner. I
Good
would
job.
always use the verbiage of like, okay, let me talk to the estimator. Let me talk to my boss. Hey,
Mhm.
I'm just a maintenance crew, but let me see what I can help you with. This and that. Or like
That's fantastic.
whenever I was on the phone doing follow ups, like, hey, I would not say my name. I would always try to avoid my name. I would be like,
Yeah.
hey, this is Mark. Hey, this is John. Hey, this is whatever, whatever, whatever. Every single time to like build that like
They thought there was a
separation.
whole team.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
Yeah.
it was I remember all the time there was this one customer. He's like, hey, so I talked to Bob yesterday. Can I speak to him now? And I'm like, yeah, yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me put you on hold real quick. And then I would like pitch my voice a little bit like, "Hey, this is Bob. How you
That's
doing?"
awesome. How did you keep track of all these voices? It's hard to keep
I
lies
didn't.
straight.
Yeah, yeah, no, I didn't really keep track. The customers kept track for me. So
Yeah, no kidding. That's
yeah, yeah.
great. So your first contract, was for lawn mowing, and was
Hmm.
that for, maintenance as well, or did you just go after recurring simple services?
Yeah. So I, I kind of want a little bit for both. I try to upsell a lot, but
Mhm,
go I would advertise more for mowing because I did try to build that recurring base from the
mhm.
start. I knew what I wanted. So whenever I got a mowing customer, I would always like, hey, like bushes trim, weeds pull, clean up, this and this and that. And usually it would work out.
And recurring services, how many do you have now, a couple years later?
We have about 70-ish, almost 80. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you were by yourself, I'm assuming you were by yourself from the
Yeah.
beginning,
Mhm.
did you have a CRM?
Yeah, yeah. So I actually used Copilot from the start. I
Oh,
think
wow.
I think in when I started in March. Well, I because I think Copilot launched like maybe a month or two after. I can't remember. So like I used like I try to use Lawn Pro, I think,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah. How'd that
yeah,
work out for you?
yeah, for like a month. I mean, it was fine. It did what it had to do for a month.
Yes,
So
yes. So did you try to route and dispatch your
yeah,
estimates in with your mows?
pretty much. Yeah, just try
So
to make everything
smart.
efficient.
Yeah, yeah. Not everybody does that, and it's super smart to do that. And when did
Mhm.
you get an employee to help you?
It was pretty much around the fall. Yeah, around the fall because we started having like leaf cleanups,
Mhm,
and then it started ramping up a little bit more because of the commercial properties. So I was
mhm.
like, yeah, if I lock these properties in, I'm not gonna do this by myself. It's insane.
Too hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you came here for the franchise training, was it everything that you had heard about? It sounds like you hadn't been even in the business very long, but you love the business aspect, which
Hmm.
really helped you. And
Yeah.
so, what was it like when you came for training?
Oh man. I
I
mean,
bet it was overwhelming.
it was a bit. I was like, dang, I'm really doing this. It's crazy.
Totally.
I mean, at that time, I was still 20 at that time, and I was like, well, I, I guess I was always a little bit harder on myself. I was like, well, if I was gonna do this either way at some point, why didn't I do it earlier?
Hmm.
It's always like that. Ugh, I could have done this earlier or from the start, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But then it's like, well, I had to go through everything that I went through in order to get to where I'm at. So it's okay. It worked out. But I was very excited. Training was cool.
Hmm.
Meeting the other owners in the cohort, it was pretty cool. I mean, I still
Hmm.
talk to most of them.
That's
Um,
great. Yeah.
and yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, how has it been for you in regards to the community and having the support? Do you think it's better for you that you had done this instead of trying to do this by yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely went through some harsh bumps last year,
Hmm.
and I don't know what I would have done if it was just me and no other kind of support group and stuff.
Hmm.
And I mean, even apart from like the emotional backup and the mental backup that you get from Augusta Nation, like just the actual physical, the actual business advice that
Hmm.
and like the amount of time that you would save just from asking a couple questions to people
Yeah.
that have done this for years,
Hmm.
like it's invaluable. You cannot put a price tag on it just because of the opportunity cost you're saving of like going
Hmm.
through the motions and like messing up and learning. It's
Yes.
yeah, it's definitely
What
great.
do you think your biggest obstacles were during that time? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, I mean, it was I mean, apart from like the business sense of I mean, just a lot of work trying to make it more efficient and stuff. I was going through some personal struggles when it comes to like my relationships and
That
stuff
complicates
with
things.
yeah, with my wife and stuff. So
Hmm.
it was a harsh time. And I really got a lot of support from, like Connor Stead, Nick Reed,
Hmm.
Mike also stepped in and helped out in the way he could. Kevin
Hmm.
Fairburn, they all helped out a lot, and it was just like it was good because I felt like I always feel like I'm bothering people, right?
Yeah.
But they made it seem like I was not bothering anybody, so it's definitely something that I will forever be grateful for.
Hmm. Well, so many of them have succeeded at a very
Hmm.
young age. And then people like Kevin Fairburn have been through so much with relationships and things like
Hmm.
that. And he is a phenomenal human being. I'm sure he had some
Hmm.
good advice for you as well.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah. So up to now, it sounds like you came to Blue Collar Summit. I remember seeing you there,
Oh yeah.
and you had come around and talked to a whole bunch of us and videoed, and that was fantastic what you put together there. So, what was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was cool. I mean, I knew from the start that going to Blue Club Summit was gonna be cool, just because of how Mike hyped it up for a couple months. I was like,
Yes.
I mean, he's hyping it up. He's gonna have to deliver, and he probably will deliver.
Yeah.
And it was great. I was really looking forward to networking with different business owners, and that's kind of what ended up happening. I recorded it for some content on the channel, and I mean, everything turned out to be great. Definitely talked to some people that are in Augusta now, so that's kind of
Hmm.
cool. And yeah.
So, you have been in Augusta for 2 years. And so, was some of that content a little overwhelming?
For the the content that was in on Blue Collar Summit,
Yes.
I would say Mike's workshop was a lot,
Yes,
but
very heavy.
at the same time a lot of review, right? Because
Mhm.
if you're in Augusta and you follow Mike's content, like I would say like 60 to 70% of it was pretty much review. But
Yes.
then the fact that that was tagged along with like 30% that's new stuff,
Mhm.
it made it worth it and made it seem like, like this is, sometimes people just need more repetitions and just like learning something new. So
Mhm. You said that you had done those snow contracts. So when they happened, from your story here, I have a feeling you maybe weren't quite ready. So what did you have for equipment?
yeah, no, we weren't ready at all. I mean, we just had shovels,
So you did residential.
spreaders. No, so there were 13 commercial properties. There
You
were
gotta
like
be kidding. So did you
medium
do
size.
parking lots with shovels?
Yes, 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 yes. It was. I mean, we definitely had more manpower there. It was not just two people. We had like five-ish people.
Still.
Um, with shovels. It took a long time. It took a
Yes, I'm
lot of
sure.
work, freezing cold, but in the end, it was worth it. And now I know to not go into those parking lots without plows and stuff.
For sure. So did you actually take some of that, money from that and get some equipment?
No, so I actually didn't.
Which
So
was
that, with that,
smart.
yeah. So with that money, I got the mowing truck.
Yes.
Um, I still probably won't ever get a plow. I'll just probably subcontract that part out, and we'll just
Mhm.
take care of like salting and stuff
Yeah,
because
that's really smart.
it's not regular here, so you can't really count on it.
Yep. So where are you with equipment and team members
Hmm.
and all of that good stuff after a couple years?
So we have two trucks. This year we're starting out two full time plus myself. Probably looking to hire a fourth.
Mhm.
Yeah, two trucks, two mowers. Probably buy a third one here soon.
Mhm.
And all the goodies, all the small goodies.
That's great. It sounds like you've been really smart and strategic in the way that you've purchased things and not over leveraged.
Oh yeah, I try to stay
Yeah.
lean.
No, that's really good. So this past winter, you could have done snow, Christmas lights, winter services, or nothing. What did you end up doing?
So I try to focus on two things, but ended up kind of doing a little bit of everything.
Okay. Yep.
So I go where the revenue is.
Yep.
So
But at least you had the support and a little bit of the training from other owners.
exactly. So when Mike announced Christmas lights, so that's kind of what sent me to. That's kind of what led me to join Augusta earlier because I was actually planning on joining this upcoming spring. So I would have
Mhm.
gone to like the February or the March training.
Yep.
But the moment he said, "Hey, we're launching Augusta Christmas lights," I was like, "Okay, like that's it. Like that in itself will pay for the fee and for everything,"
Mhm.
which it did, which is
Yes.
cool. And so yeah, I mean, I went all in pretty much. I could have gone harder, but I was kind of cautious because it was a pretty big investment
Yes, for sure.
for Christmas lights, especially in the first year. But I mean, we knocked it out of the park, and then did winter services as well. Enough revenue to cover us to break even. So everything else is just pretty much profit. And then we did a bit of snow here in January and a bit of snow here in February. So probably three of those tracks.
So you were one of the OGs that endured with us with Copilot and all the challenges that we've had and worked the bugs out. And you
Hmm.
said you also had the website. So were those
Hmm.
the two things from Mike that you had purchased already and were using before you joined Augusta?
Yeah, yeah. So I used Copilot from the start, and then probably 4 months or so before joining in, I started using lawn care web design. And yeah, I mean, talking with Lee, we like did the numbers and stuff. Like, hey, like, you're paying for that, you're paying for the courses,
Exactly.
you're watching all the content, this and that. Like at this point, you'd probably be saving money just by joining in because all of it
Hmm.
is included. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people are finding once they get
Hmm.
all of these different things and the business course and the MBA for entrepreneurs. There's just so much
Hmm.
value, and then hearing about the masterminds that he does every day, and just all the templates and all the things that we provide for you at Augusta. And the biggest thing I would say for most people is the support. So, what is your big goals for this upcoming year? And 5-year goal? Do you have any idea?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So this year we want to break 500K, get out of the wilderness. So
Mhm,
next year we can go into profit mode, so that in 2027 we open the second location. So I guess 5-year goal would be second location opened, and have both of them on profit mode. Probably shooting for a third one.
mhm. So overall, how are you doing? So relationships are one of the biggest challenges. So at this time, are you doing well? Are you like feel emotionally supported and all of that good stuff to go into another season?
Yeah. So when it comes to like the emotional part of it, when everything was happening last year, I didn't have enough time to like sit through it and like process
Yes,
it and like sit in the
you're
feelings.
building a business.
Right, I was too busy with like the transferring of brands and like
Yes.
launching the lights and trying to like it was just so much. I didn't
Mhm.
really have time to sit in it. So like these this past month has been a little bit tough,
Yes, I
because
can
I actually
imagine.
have time to like I'm stuck in the house when there's no winter services. There's like no snow to do. I just stuck here working whatever I can.
Mhm,
Definitely have a lot of time to sit in the feelings. So it's like it's just things happen for a reason,
mhm,
whether something works out, whether something doesn't. Um, there's things that led up to that,
mhm.
and whether you're in the wrong or whether you're not in the wrong, you just have to take what you can, learn from it,
Yeah.
make sure that next time it works out better.
Yeah, so it just is what it is, and it's not easy for any kind of
Hmm.
spouse, girlfriend, anything, especially when you're building a business. It's very hard
Yeah.
if you're already having challenges and then to actually get their support in this, knowing they'll be
Hmm.
sacrificing a lot as well is a
Hmm.
huge challenge.
Yeah.
So you seem like a phenomenal human being. And I think it's great that you started so young before you had all of these insecurities and things that people get as they get older and build all these complexes and fail 1,000 times. And you don't seem afraid to take a risk. So, what do you think it is that has made you a person like this?
So I kind of had my mindset shift in junior year of high school, right? I mean, I was actually a good student, and I had like a 3.8 GPA graduating or something like that.
Hmm.
So like I was on the road to go to college and stuff. So like sat down because that's when like COVID happened and stuff. I sat down and I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like I don't like school. Like this is pretty boring.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to college to get a business management degree. Like, am I really gonna learn a lot about business? So I started asking around and whatever, and I was like, "Yeah, well, I probably don't need a business degree to start a business, right?"
Hmm.
And so I was like, "Okay, I can either go to college for 4 years, make absolutely no money during those 4 years, probably waste money,
Hmm.
and learn something, hopefully,
Hmm.
and get a piece of paper that says that I'd probably learn something,
Hmm.
or I could spend those 4 years building a business, learning the hard way,
Yes.
hopefully making some money along the way.
Yes.
But I'd actually be in the trenches, seeing things firsthand rather than learning it from a textbook. So I was like,
Mhm.
all right, I think I think that makes a better story.
Yeah, and what do you think it is about you? You mentioned that you were good with numbers and
Mhm.
and that sort of thing, so the stuff that you did look up about business, you thought you could probably handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I, whenever I like something or whenever I'm into something, I like go into like this like hyper focus mode of just
Mhm,
like dumping like a bunch of information into my brain about it, and like I usually retain it pretty good.
mhm,
So I mean, whenever I found business, I just like everything. Like I started reading more books about it, more podcasts, different like just content. All my content switched over to business essentially,
mm,
and so like having all those different inputs in your life daily,
yes,
you'll eventually learn something.
yes, it's so true. So what kind
Hmm.
of books, podcasts, people are you listening
Hmm.
to right now to kinda narrow it down and not get too overwhelmed?
Yeah, so mostly podcasts. I'm trying to get back into reading physical books.
That's hard.
Yeah, it's a little bit harsh after being used to audiobooks and stuff.
Yes.
So I'm trying to
What's
get
your
back into
reason
that.
for that? Like, why would you feel like you needed to hold a book in your hand?
I just feel like I retain the information better.
Okay.
Um, I feel like, with audiobooks, I really have to like pay attention and not
Mhm,
and like focus on it because I usually just have like its background or usually just a book that I've heard over and over again.
mhm.
But I mean, I listen to Jocko, I listen to Alex, Steve Bartlett with Diary of the
Hmm.
CEO, Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom. I love him. He's amazing. Uh the Mike Andy's podcast, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. The C suite whenever it
Yes.
comes out. It's
Yes.
all
That's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Shout
I
out to
mean,
Lee.
just shout out to Lee. Yeah. I mean, all these you can definitely take a little bit of information from
Hmm.
each of these people and personalize it to your
Yes.
own situation,
Hmm.
and like that's where the value is at.
Yes. So to wrap up for today, what kind of advice would you give to young guys your age when you started and now after joining Augusta?
I would say, man, if you're gonna get started, you just got to get started, right? I
Yeah.
mean, like a lot of people uh they want to do a thing,
Hmm.
but then they get caught up in the planning the thing,
Yeah.
like researching the thing, trying to learn about the thing, asking people about the thing,
Hmm.
reading about the thing and stuff, but like they don't actually do the thing.
Right.
And so like that kind of like analysis paralysis will like kill all the time, which when you're young, you have a lot of time,
Yeah.
right? When you're like 18, 19, 20, you're not doing much apart from going to school, right?
Hmm.
And you have a whole other 12 hours to like possibly do something. And like,
Hmm.
why not sacrifice a little bit of time in your early 20s, late teens, so that in your late 30s, early 30s, like you're just free, right? You just have everything. You sacrifice 5 to 10 years of your early life
Hmm.
for literally the rest of your life be okay.
Yes. Yes.
Why not?
Yeah. That's phenomenal. And do you have a quote that you want to share?
Oh man. I wish. I can't really remember anything.
Just knowing the kind of people that you listen to lets me know he has some quotes hidden in there somewhere.
I would have to I would have
It'll
to
put you on the spot.
dig. I would have to dig. Should have been ready.
Oh no, that's totally okay. I didn't warn you.
I should have been ready. I'm trying to the thing I would say is I would just say I'm not sure if it's a quote or not, but I would just say that hard things are hard for a reason.
Hmm.
And, it takes a hard person to do hard things. And in order to become a hard person, you have to go through hard things. Right.
Mm,
And so you can't expect to be like millionaire, billionaire without
mhm.
going through what it takes to be a millionaire or billionaire. Right. Long hours, really like 16 hours days with 3 hours of sleep
Yep.
and just constant work for a very long period of time. And it's just you. So
Mhm.
you just
Well,
have to be
if
okay with that.
that's not a quote, then you could start one. That would be Ricardo 7:14 or something.
I hope so.
Yeah, so I am just so excited that you're on this journey with us and excited to see where you go. I've seen so many success stories just like yours in Augusta Nation, knowing that some of these people would have never had a chance without it. And
Mhm.
that is why we do what we do. And so, any final words for us?
No,
You can
man.
plug your channel. Plug your
Oh man.
channel.
Oh yeah. So channel Ricardo Vargas. Any podcast platform, the $1 Million Journey. Essentially, I started content. I guess quickly, I started the content just to essentially write um, record my journey. And
Smart.
yeah, and then $1 million is just like an arbitrary number. It's just whatever, it's just a
Totally.
big number. So it doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of the journey, right? Because like you hear these like successful people and like people that actually made it, right?
Mhm.
They talk about how the destination is not really the end point. It's just really the progress and really the journey. So
Mhm.
that's the part that I really want to record because I wish a lot of people did this beforehand, right?
Yes.
A lot of people
Yeah.
don't start recording content up until they actually do something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But like what's valuable is what you did beforehand that led you to do the thing,
Mhm.
right? So I feel like if I can somehow, some way, put that out there and bring that kind of value to people, I feel like we would probably have more business owners, more educated business owners,
Yeah.
and then the likelihood of them failing would be less. So Ricardo Vargas on YouTube, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, you have a whole nation behind you to help you get started with this and to support
Oh
you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your time today. I know it's valuable and you're trying to run a business. And so I so appreciate it. And I know it'll impact a lot of people.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.